Wow. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. I know what time it is. It's time for another fun-filled episode of the Paranormal Portal, and I'll be your host, Brent Thomas, as we dive into yet another 2-hour fun fest of the strange and unusual. And we'll talk about paranormal stuff, too. I'm not alone here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I am joined by the big branch himself of my personal family tree, Mr. Sheldon Thomas is here. How you doing, Sheldon?
That's right. The biggest of branches has come to grace you all with his presence of hardness and love. I am feeling good.
It sounded
Nope, it sounds fine unless you make it weird.
yeah, I might have just made it weird. That's strange. I don't usually.
Dawn is coming out again.
I know. I think it's like a pathogen. I got the Don pathogen or something. But it's good to have you here, buddy. I hope you're ready for another night of the portal and all of the incredible news and information that we bring.
I'm always ready to learn more and to dive deeper.
Yeah, amen. Well, I'm ready too. And how y'all doing out there? Hope you guys are doing great. Happy Friday. It's moving one day closer into the weekend, and I think it's officially the weekend now. I think it's how it works. Friday night. I think that counts. Unless you're still at work, then I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. That's a rip. Yeah.
That is a rip. What do you do? Now in current news and events of the Paranormal Portal, I just wanted to point out, it finally happened, ladies and gentlemen. It's finally happened. I finally published the first investigation video on YouTube for members only. And it's been up since yesterday, and I hope you guys will check it out if you're a channel member on YouTube. It is the investigation of the Davenport Hotel that Charles Howard Johnson and I did. I think it was last year, or the beginning of last summer, I believe. I don't know. Everything's blending together. It might be 2 years even now. But I'm pretty sure it was last year. And ladies and gentlemen, it was a fantastic experience. Now, full disclosure, that was our first official, jaunt out. My first really official investigation outside of when I went with Dan Pruitt and investigated Coloma, which really wasn't. With Dan and I, it was really an investigation, but the next year it was just a neat experience with a bunch of listeners that met up on Coloma. So I have a video of that one too, but it's just kind of all over the place. And I just haven't had the time to go in and piece it out and to make it cohesive. There's a lot of work that I would need to do if I was going to publish it. Some neat things happen there too. But as the first foray, the Davenport Hotel, it was mostly filmed on my cell phone. So now there's nothing wrong with filming on cell phones. Those are incredibly high quality cameras and they do an exceptional job. And there was really no low light conditions that we needed to have like infrared or anything for, because it was in an active hotel. So the lights are on. It's not like you're walking around in shadows and darkness. However, the sound is a little all over the place, but you should be able to hear things just fine. I did my best to balance the volume throughout the course of it to accommodate, how far away from it was I from the cell phone, how close, when I was filming and such. But we really did get some exceptional evidence and some exceptional interaction was the big thing. And I think you'll be impressed. I was truly blown away by this being my first official foray, especially with Charles. Charles is such a wonderful guy, and we had a wonderful time. I will open it up to the public tomorrow. So if you're not a member, don't fret. It's just that I'm giving members the first look, the first ability to check out the video, because they're helping to keep the lights on here pretty actively. And many of you do in many different ways, but I just wanted to do it for the members, give them early access. So tomorrow I'm going to shift it to public access, so all of you guys can check it out. Now, one thing I would ask, if you check it out, please leave a comment. We've had several members watch it so far, and there's literally one person left 3 comments and no other comments. So it really does help As far as the algorithm is going to be concerned when it does go live, if you watch it, if you get those early accesses, please leave me a message, or at least a like. But a like and a comment would be awesome, because it's all about the algorithm on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. And I will put it on Rumble and BitChute as well. But those comments are so important for the interaction, to show that not only are people watching it, but they're participating with it. And that's what pushes it up on the YouTube algorithm. And I'm sure Rumble's is very similar. So your comments are so important. I know you hear it all the time on YouTube. Leave a comment, leave a comment. Well, the reason why is because it shows that people are actively engaged with the content, and therefore it's more valuable to YouTube to throw it out there, because people are paying attention. Their ads become more valuable then. Honestly, it's just about, are people paying attention? Are they going to be watching the ads, or are just people turning it on and going and vacuuming, or something? So it really is important. So please, yeah. Oh, thank you, Maggie. She thought it was awesome. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. I did work on it really hard. Try to make it as good as I possibly could. And Jimmy did an amazing job stitching it all together. So, between Jimmy and I think we turned out a really, really solid project. So I hope you guys will check it out if you haven't, if you're a member, and if not, check it out tomorrow. Yes, Brent is the man. Thank you, Drake. That's really cool, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so we got some news, Sheldon Thomas. Are you ready to get newsed?
Always.
Always ready for the news here. I'm going to turn up my headphones. It feels a little quiet. There we go. I feel much louder now.
Yeah.
Did it matter to the volume?
It helped.
Did it really? Me turning up my headphones helped? Wow, that's cool.
I thought so.
All right. Well, I don't know. My board is magic.
Maybe psychosomatic. I don't know.
Could be a placebo. But anyway, all right, folks, let's get to the news and find out just what I've curated for your benefit here on the Paranormal Portal News. Coming up now, it's time for the news. Sheldon's a beast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the most trusted news, which is the Paranormal Portal News, apparently, according to many high-ranking opinions. Do you know who Drake is?
No,
I don't either. But I like their enthusiasm.
I like it too.
Well done, Drake. I'm really glad you're here. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the Paranormal Portal News Desk, where we're going to dive into all things Paranormal Portal News, and hopefully you'll feel news. Let me just check on Rumble to see what's going on, because, well, let's see. There it goes. I don't know what's been taking so long, but I guess because I left it spinning, but it's just kind of frozen and nothing's happening. So this is just a side check, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to make sure all the platforms are working as they're supposed to be working. All right. Yep, we're live. Okay. I just wanted to make sure the stream was working, because the chat is absolutely dead on Rumble, which is kind of unusual. Usually there's been a few people over there. Mm-hmm. All right, so this is the Paranormal Portal News, where we talk about all things news, and some of them are even paranormal, but not all of them. Some of them are just interesting or curious or peculiar, and sometimes just bizarre. But anyway, we hope it's entertaining for you to check out what we've curated for your benefit, and you find it as interesting as we do. So the first one up is kind of an interesting article. I gotta admit, I wasn't expecting to see something like this, but let's check it out. The first article tonight on the news comes from an amazing site. I can't recommend it enough. Please check them out. Please support what they're doing. This site has been phenomenal for a very, very long time, and I continue to be a big fan of it. What in the hell is this? I got things open all over the place, Sheldon. It's been a madhouse here. All right. The first article is from unexplained-mysteries.com. And this article is having to do with modern mysteries, believe it or not. And Here you go. Ghost hunting woman dressed as vampire found deceased in an old church. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all.
Well, creepy.
Yeah, that's not the kind of ghost hunting you want. You don't want to become the ghost. That's probably macabre that I'm laughing at it, but, you know, I got a little twisted sense of humor. It says the young French woman was found dead at an abandoned church in northern Italy's Aosta Valley a few days ago. In a strange and disturbing case that has perplexed local authorities, the 22-year-old was found deceased with most of the blood drained from her body after being perforated, I guess. I don't want to get too graphic here, with a camping knife. Aww. Oh. 3 pew-pew wounds were also seemingly inflicted on her body after she had passed, and someone had, for reasons unknown, scraped some of her blood up from the floor and then taken it with them. Oh, dear. The case could potentially be connected to the mysterious disappearances of 2 other people in the same area. The church in which the woman was found, thought to be the Châtellard Castle, is abandoned and has gained something of a reputation for being haunted. Police believe that she may have been there as part of a social media ghost hunting challenge that is currently popular in France. Witnesses reportedly saw both her and a male friend dressed as vampires in the general area before her deceasing, and noted that she looked pale and emaciated like a walking corpse. People are also investigating the possibility that she had become involved in some form of ritualistic sacrifice or consented deceasing, or that her presence at the church was just part of a social media prank. Detectives are focusing their efforts on finding the male friend who was seen with the woman, as well as the owner of a burgundy van that was spotted on CCTV near the church the previous week. No further details of the investigation have been made public so far. That is so scary, weird. I just wonder if somebody was vampire hunting and thought they found one. It's like, ah.
Oh, that's the first time I've ever read consented murder. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, people sometimes get involved in those weird cults, and they'll be like, "Pick me." I don't know.
Like the poison Kool-Aid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, it's time to catch the comet, kids. It's like, no, you bunch of bricks. Yeah, that's so sad. There you go. I don't know what to make of that. It sounds like something absolutely went sideways, and I'm so sorry to hear that. You know, of course, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's a bizarre story, but it was interesting enough that I thought we'd better cover it. So there you go. Bet you didn't know that before today.
Sure didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, you might have been okay with not knowing too, but you know, I don't do the surveys. I just bring you what I think. All right, here we go. Another report from our favorite Harvard physicist, Mr. Avi Loeb, who's in the news again, ladies and gentlemen. And Avi Loeb's kind of become this really galvanizing figure in UFO research, because he is an actual academic who is going out on a limb with, the first I heard of him was when he was going into the discussions of Oumuamua and saying, look, that weird oblong rock that made a weird curve by the sun that shouldn't have happened might actually be intelligently controlled. It might be extraterrestrial. And so let's dive into that and see what he's talking about now. Coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, extraterrestrial category, Avi Loeb, ET may have reached us using dimension hopping technology. Well, there you go. How about that, folks? All right, let's see what he says. The Harvard astrophysicist has become synonymous with the hunt for evidence of aliens in recent years. Loeb, who made headlines last year following his discovery of mysterious spherules, that's a weird word to say, spherules, on the ocean floor that he believed were part of an artificially constructed meteorite from a distant star system, is certainly no stranger to making out there claims about extraterrestrial visitors. A firm proponent of the idea that it is arrogant to think that we are alone in the cosmos, Loeb has previously suggested that we may even be living in a universe created by intelligent alien life. Wow, he's really gone out editorializing on this. Most recently, while speaking in a new documentary entitled The Paranormal UFO Connection, the Harvard astrophysicist put forward the idea that aliens may have already visited Earth using a form of dimension hopping technology based on scientific concepts that we barely even touched upon. Within the mainstream of theoretical physics for the past decades, the prevailing paradigm is that it is possible to unify quantum mechanics and gravity unless you work. It is possible to unify quantum mechanics and gravity unless you work with extraspatial dimensions, he says. We see only 3 of them in our daily life, but the idea is that right behind me, right here, just standing over, reading over my shoulder. He said, we see only 3 of them in our daily life, but the idea is that the others are curled. And we can't really detect them unless we shoot particles that have exceptionally high energies that will probe these tiny scales. Of course, if there are extra dimensions, then the reality that we are familiar with extends into them, and then one can imagine life in more than 3 spatial dimensions. It will be far more diverse and interesting. Ultimately, Loeb hopes that contact with aliens will be beneficial for humanity. Yeah, boy, we sure hope they're nice. What if they're not? What if we knock on the door and they go, "We've been waiting," you know?
What if we knock on the death dimension? You know, you don't know what kind of dimension you're knocking on.
It'd be like, there'd be like some idiot's voice going, "Satan, answer the door." Go get it, jeez. I don't know. We end up knocking on hell or something. Yeah.
Oh, that's a hell dimension. Oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, jeez, what the hell? It's, could be out there. I'm just saying. There might be many more neighbors that are far more accomplished than we are, and we can learn from them, he said last year. So my hope is that it will bring humanity to a better place in the long-term future. Yeah. As long as they are looking for our best interests as well, they might think we suck, Be like, yeah, give us a brand new version of Q-tip and tell us to go to hell, That's all you're getting. Get out. Yeah, I don't know. Could be.
I don't think we're ready for communication with aliens. I really don't.
We can hardly handle communicating with each other, so I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know how we're going to do with other intelligences.
Plus, we'd only ever be beholden to them, because they would have. I mean, for an alien, as far as we're thinking of a highly advanced civilization, far above our own.
Yeah.
So no matter what kind of alien, even if it's a good one, we'd still be beholden to them out of fear anyway. So no matter what, I mean, we could learn things from them, sure, but we'd always be beholden and slightly fearful, no matter what.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, unless you can have perfect, faith in somebody, you're going to always have in the back of your mind, it's like, what if they start hating us, And, what are you going to do? Nothing. We're going to probably simmer over low heat until done. That's going to be our only recourse, is to try to be as tasty as we can manage. Yeah. I don't know. Or to, go down their throat sideways and cause trouble. But anyway, either way, I don't know. I'm just being stupid. But honestly, if there are these intelligences out there that are so, geez, the water came back at me. If there are intelligences that are so far advanced to us, I mean, what are you going to do? It'd be like, assaulting an anthill. It's like, what are the ants going to do? Charge, I mean, they're just going to get squished and, worse.
Maggie says to turn me up, apparently. I'm at max volume. I can't even turn myself up anymore.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do here either. So lean into it, boy.
Yeah, I'll move it up to my face. Maybe. Is this better?
Much better. I could hear you much better. Thank you very much.
It's true. I mean, even in the what was that recent interview? The DOD interview in Congress or the Senate or whatever, I mean, even that the one guy from the DoD said that we have
David Grush.
zero. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
He said we have literally zero chance
Oh
for
yeah.
any kind of retaliation.
Yeah.
Zero.
I mean, granted, our sciences are moving incredibly rapidly, and our development is, just geometrically expanding. But these are races that could have, hundreds or thousands of years head start on us, or millions. And it's like, yeah, we got a lot of catching up to do. No matter how big our stick gets, they're probably going to have something like a lightsaber, So anyway, they're probably Jedi. I mean, they could be Jedi for all we know. We just don't know.
Take me with them then. Oh man, I'm ready. Take me with you.
You're a little old for Padawan. I'm just saying.
I'll be the janitor at the Jedi Temple. I don't care. I'm ready.
You're like scrubbing Yoda's underwear or something. Yeah, I love it here.
I'll be happy. I'd be happy.
I'm just saying it could, probably be a step up. I don't know. Anyway, What do you do? But that's Avi Loeb. He's back in the news, and that's what he's talking about now. I like this guy. I like that he's just, throwing it out there. And it's like, criticism be damned. I mean, he's obviously an incredibly intelligent guy, and he's incredibly brave, to stand up and to say, look, it could be aliens. And of course, he might as well be cussing in church at that point, with
that's so
the scientific community, but he just doesn't, no F's were given.
I like that, though.
Yeah, I do too. I respect that. I really do.
Too many, I feel like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like too much of science is like, they're just like, that's crazy stuff, or like, we're not going to focus on that at all. And he's actually going to those areas.
Right.
I feel like it is.
Yep. He's not afraid to say it. He's not afraid to put it out there. So I got to respect that most of all. I mean, he could be absolutely wrong about everything, but at least he's saying it. At least he's being brave enough to say, this is what I think it could be. I years ago on the show, we were talking, Don and I were talking about it. He said, well, what do you think? Do you think they're extraterrestrial, or do you think they're extra dimensional? And it just occurred to me. It's like, perhaps the further you go out into space, the more it becomes extra dimensional. Like maybe the difference between our side of the universe and another side, the opposite side, would be a dimensional space, or a dimensional removal. Who knows how that works?
Could be linked.
Right.
Yeah.
So perhaps by virtue of coming from there and maybe not having to traverse the whole galaxy to get here, maybe they can just change their phase and get here, because space, we seem to think that time is probably closely related to some kind of frequency. And so perhaps space is too. And maybe we share those same, not only is the whole non-Euclidean space-time, which we talk about once in a while on the show, all the moments are happening now, distant past, distant future, and the present, all in this one now. Well, maybe the same is true for space. That all places in the universe are here, but it's our awareness that gives it this broad vastness, just like time. Our awareness is very linear of time, so maybe our awareness of space is very closely linked to that. So,
well, yeah, there'd have to be a different way of travel, though, for them. It would have to be basically teleportation or something, because as far as I know, I think that if you start traveling faster than the speed of light, you start going backwards in time.
Yeah, well, that's relativity. Yep, Einstein's relativity. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, anyway, that's interesting. So I hope you guys enjoyed that article. Again, I like this guy. I like hearing about him. I like hearing what he's thinking, because he's clearly thinking, which is not real common in our sciences. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm very impressed by science and what it's accomplished and what is accomplishing. But I think, discoveries in all directions, not just one direction, which seems to be military and medical, and that's about it. All right, so let's get to the next article, and this one has to do with creatures, myths, and legends, ladies and gentlemen, because there's news about creatures, myths, and legends. And this news is kind of interesting. And I don't know I think NASA's still, they are funded by tax dollars, I believe. I know they were.
Right?
What's that?
They're public, is what you're referring to, right?
Well, I mean, like they are subsidized by the government that NASA is paid for, which is then paid for by tax dollars. Yeah, that's what I thought, and I didn't think anything changed as far as that was concerned. But here's your tax dollars at work, folks, and you know, I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but at any rate, it's an interesting development because according to unexplained-mysteries.com, NASA is invited to help scan Loch Ness as part of a new major monster hunt. They're going to help scan it.
Wait a second. If the government's getting involved, that says something, I feel like.
Oh, you know, that's not a bad thought, too. I hadn't really considered that. I just thought, well, I don't know who invited them. But anyway, let's see what the article says. Yeah. The Loch Ness Monster Center has officially invited NASA to participate in the latest hunt for Nessie. Last year, we saw what was billed as the largest Loch Ness Monster hunt in 50 years, and our friend Ken Gerhard was there as part of that. An endeavor involving hundreds of volunteers as well as the use of dozens of webcams, camera-equipped drones, and even special hydrophones that managed to pick up unexplained sounds in the murky depths. While the search ultimately failed to find anything conclusive, the event itself was so successful that the Loch Ness Monster Center is going to attempt an even bigger search between May 30th and June 2nd of this year, and this time it is calling on a range of experts to come along and help. There is even a hope that NASA will lend some of its expertise, some of our expense, to the problem of finding Nessie. We're hoping that experts from NASA might have some advanced imaging technology to scan the loch, said Loch Ness Center marketing manager Amy Todd. We would have to sit down and talk to them about how to get it here. Now they just fly it over on a rocket. It's no problem. They'll probably have Elon bring it over.
I would love to.
The timing of the new search will coincide with the 90th anniversary of its first ever major search of the loch that was conducted by Sir Edward Mountain and his team back in 1934. The guy's name is Edward Mountain.
Wow, I love that name.
Yeah, I think he was on the Game of Thrones. Thank you. Thank you very much. I never have watched Game of Thrones, but I am aware that the big muscle guy was the Mountain. Thor, whatever his name is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy's a beast. He's like huge. All right. Last year we captured the world's attention with one of the biggest ever searches for Nessie, with participants joining us from America, Canada, France, Italy, Japan, and more, said Loch Ness Center General Manager Paul Nixon. With unexplained noises heard alongside possible sightings this year, we're determined to find out more about the elusive Loch Ness Monster. Whether this year's search will actually turn up anything, however, remains to be seen. Yeah, it does. It remains to be seen. But so does Nessie. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. Well, apparently she's been seen, but just not really well documented up to this point. So, interestingly enough.
So the thing is, okay, so they've been invited. They didn't say they were going.
Right. They didn't say they were going to do it, but I mean,
darn. Oh man. So it's going to be huge if the government gets involved in stuff. That always says stuff, but it's like I could invite NASA to my birthday party. It doesn't mean it's happening. So.
Bring cakes. Bring big cakes. Shaped like a space shuttle. No, I mean you could. It doesn't mean that it's a government operation, though, does it?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I guess that's going to wrap up the news. That's all of the news I feel like covering. What do you think, Sheldon?
I have had my fill. There we go. Got it out. Woo!
Got the fill of news. Well, that's the best we can hope for here. So, all right, let's get back to the rest of the show. There we go. Rumble's coming to life finally. We got HB Girl to Use over there. We got Barbara Mora. And we've got Ty Pans over there. So, good to see you guys. Good
Welcome.
to see ya. Good to see Rumble's live and kicking. I haven't looked at Twitch. What's going on in Twitch? Lucky Gypsy's over there, man, in the fort. And she's in Rumble. And she's in YouTube. So, Lucky Gypsy's all over the place. And Barbara Moore's in YouTube, I think, as well as Rumble. So, good to see you guys wherever you curl up and watch this show. That's wonderful. And we've got a lot of things to get to, of course, because, well, hell, this is the Portal. Portal is an experience nonetheless.
It is.
What kind of experience is it for you, Sheldon? Rewarding?
The mystical and wondrous kind.
Well, that's a pretty good kind. Okay, I'll take it. We've got an article that I was going to get into. I thought I actually started it, but when I reread the first part, I was like, I don't think I started this. So we might be rereading some stuff, but I don't remember if we did or not. But it's a neighbor's dog is barking. Did you hear that?
No.
Oh, yeah, I heard it. All right. Well, yeah, it's got this dog. It's got its own dog door, so it just runs out barking at every squirrel. It's like, it's like an old man. Get off my lawn. Yeah.
Hopefully it's not a small dog, is it?
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like one of those. It's a little bigger than a toy poodle kind of thing, but it's kind of poodle-ish. I don't know what the hell. I don't know dog breeds that well, but
So is it risk of birds?
Oh no, it's not that little. It'd be
Okay.
Be a pretty robust bird to carry away something like that. I'm more concerned about my cats and concerned with eagles in the area than anything. But so far, they've done okay. So
Okay, good.
yeah, they're still here. They're still here, by God. Good to see you, John Temperin. Good to see you, Rachel, and Wizard Moon. Sheldon's here.
That's right.
Good thing you're here. I'm just looking.
I am here.
Then Drake #1 is here. Chris Cirque is here. Grumpy Owl's here. Boonabar's in Twitch. Good.
That's me.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Okay,
familiar with that. You threw me on Rumble that time. I was like, hey. You're like, ran it to me. I'm like, oh.
You were so excited.
I was so excited because, whenever you throw out a new stream, you're like, somebody's paying attention. Oh, my God. It's not futile. And then Maggie's in the tube, as well as Glades Creatures. I'm just looking through the list.
Yeah.
RJ Windwalker is in there. I saw Isaac was out there watching earlier. And Rachel gets it right. And
She's always right.
she's usually dead on, I'm telling you. Very rarely have I ever caught her in something that wasn't right. I mean, there's a good reason she picked that name. The Dachshund Master is in here. How you doing, Dachshund Master? I remember you from the other night, as a matter of fact. Now, are you a new listener or are you just a rebrand? Did you just pick up a different name? That happens here on the portal all the time. So it's like, I don't think we have a new listener. It's like, no, it's me, Phil. Oh.
It's true.
It's
I was
okay
the
to be
Relish
late.
Razor.
Well, yeah, what? Relish Razor.
Relish Razor.
That's right. And you turned into Boonabar.
That's right.
Speaking of chatting, folks, if you like the chat experience on the show, would encourage you to get involved with the Discord. We've got a wonderful Discord community as well, and that is out there. So we'd love to see you over there. And the link is in the description. And Sheldon,
nice.
well, Sheldon's going to share it too, so it'll be shared.
Make it easy for everyone.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I like easy. Oh, that didn't sound right. But
Oh.
look at the time. Sorry. Okay, so we've got an article that I thought we started this, but I read the first one. I was like, yeah, I don't think I've discussed this before. So it's something I've had open, and it's from ranker.com. And I like these ranker articles because a lot of times they're just like Thought Catalog and many other of them. They do these Reddit scrapes. I call them Reddit scrapes because basically they either start a thread on Reddit or they go over there and farm threads for people's experiences. And they're pretty profound, even though a lot of them are very short and they leave you with a lot of questions that you might want to, answers to. But, they're just people's little blurbs. And I'm not suggesting that they're all true. They're all supposed to be true. They're represented as true. But if only a small percentage of these are true, something incredible still going on here, folks. So
literally, if it's only 1% even.
Yeah, exactly.
Still.
That's huge, because that means something happened that traditional logic would say shouldn't happen. So that means reality went sideways. So at any rate, this is a Ranker article from ranker.com, and it is by Bailey Brown is the author for this, and the person that accumulated these threads. And it is from May 11th of 2021, so it's a few years old now. But the good thing about paranormal stuff is it really is what they call evergreen content, and that that's just a marketing term, meaning it's always relevant. They never go out of date. It's not like political stuff is very, very temporary, very seasonal. Like you can't keep discussing the same political figure for the same reasons, because it's over. There's a whole bunch of new stuff going on, but these stories are always just as valid as when they happen. So the article is Night Shift Security Guards describe the creepiest things they've seen on the job. And I realize the chat is cutting some of that off, but don't worry, I'll read it for you. So again, this is ranker.com. Bailey Brown is the author. And again, this is another one of those sites. Go check it out. Whatever you're interested, you'll find information and lists about it on Ranker, and like Listverse, like Thought Catalog. These are all fantastic sites, and let's check it out. So these are interesting kind of stories, because I think generally speaking, a lot of paranormal things happen to people when they're kind of alone. And that just definitely seems to be more of the rule in terms of when things present themselves to people. It's usually not during, real busy times, busy places in, busy areas with many people. Generally speaking, people are pretty isolated, and maybe that's part of why they have the experiences, because their minds are more receptive to what's going on around them. So for instance, if let's say you work in a busy mall during the day, your attention's being everywhere because there's things going on all around you. Like you work security at a busy mall. You're looking around, you're keeping an eye on things. You're not really, you're open to what's going on around you to a degree, but you're also got this laser focus on what you're observing and checking out and stuff. Now, if you're the same security guard and you're working the midnight shift when the mall is shut down, you can hear everything. You see every motion because there's nothing distracting your attentions. And so maybe that's why people that are isolated have more experiences, because they're more wide open to what's going on around them. And so they are more receptive. So I think that could be a big part of it, because I don't believe for a minute that paranormal stuff happens primarily at night. I don't really believe that, because there's been plenty of cryptid sightings, ghost experiences, UFO experiences in broad daylight. But it's just that people don't notice them as much. But when it's all dark and quiet, people notice a lot more than when they do during a busy day. So I think it has a lot to do with us and our state of mind being the receivers, and possible. I don't believe that we're just blind participants in this. I think that somehow personally we are facilitating the event as well. Maybe with that heightened awareness, maybe with some more meditative quality of being in solitude, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, that's a whole lot of different discussions. Anyway, let's check out the story. So the first one is coming from Redditor, and I'm going to try to pronounce this. Xalxa, Xalxa. And it says, I work third shift at a brewery. My first week of work in here, something just felt off. I dismissed it as being a new work environment, plus me being alone at night. Well, there are two main buildings on the same property. Two main buildings, rather, on the same property. The brewery and the bar about 200 feet away. The third shift guards hang out in the bar at night since it has a good overlook of the facility. The lights automatically turn on and come on with motion. While I was coming back from a patrol around the facility, The lights in the main room in the back room were off, but the door to the back room was open. I walked into the bar like normal, and the lights came on after I took a few steps inside. Then I froze. In that doorway, there was a thing. Humanoid, but not quite. Its arms were way too long, and its hair covered most of its upper body. The doorway was almost too small for it to get through, but after a few seconds, I blinked, and it was gone. Apparently, I'm not the only one who's seen it. After asking around a bit, a few of the day shift guys seem to know what I'm talking about, but most refuse to talk about him. Over the next few weeks, I had a few more run-ins with him, but only in the bar. I thought he couldn't leave it, and one of the main public areas inside the brewery has a set of 2 doors, the outside and the inside doors, kind of like an airlock. When you scan your access card after hours, the doors automatically open and then close after about 30 seconds. Well, the outside door has a tendency to get stuck, though. So I stood in that airlock space, looking outside, waiting for the door to close. The inside door closed first behind me. Then the outside door closed, and as it did, I see in the reflection the thing standing right behind me, towering over me, staring down, long arms hanging at its side. Well, I no longer stand in that space when I wait for the doors to close. I go inside, turn the lights on, and then turn around and wait for the doors to close. Huh. So what the hell is that? Sounds kind of like I don't know, a Bigfoot dogman kind of thing, right? But it's mostly spiritual.
Yeah, spiritual version.
Yeah, it doesn't say it like had like dogman or canine head and ears or anything. It just says it looks kind of like a person, but the arms are too long and it's hairy. So I guess it sounds more Bigfooty, but it's definitely not being, well, not, I can't say definitely, but it doesn't seem to be in this realm. It just seems to be, you catch a glimpse of it, and then if you blink, it's gone, that kind of thing. So, like, it's maybe not quite here. Pretty weird, huh?
Yeah.
What?
Just people. Annie said beer squatch and
beer squatch.
Batman said malt demon. I don't know if that's supposed to be a play on words of Matt Damon.
No, like malt liquor, malt demon. Maybe it's Matt Damon.
I don't know.
That's hilarious. I love our chat. You guys are so clever. Good God.
Oh my God.
You make their jobs easy. All right, so let's move on to number 2 and see what the hell's going on with Ole Robin. OLE_Robin. Where's Batman? Sorry. Sorry. Entertainment's free, folks.
That's right.
All right. This is the next one. Tools moved around on their own. I was the last overnight shift watch on a naval air station in a building that did advanced maintenance on planes, but was not a hangar. Around 2 a.m. on my rounds, I hear people talking from the mechanic shop. Well, no big deal, as sometimes those guys pull all-nighters or were asked to come in early. And I go down there because I'm bored, but all the lights are off and it's empty. Weird. I tell the senior watch on duty in the front building, and he says, no one signed in and it's just the 2 of us. About an hour later, I hear it again while walking around, and I investigate. Lights out, no one's there. It's getting weirder. The third time it happens, it's about 4 a.m. and the senior watch and I are sitting up front watching TV and both clearly hearing tools being thrown around the mechanic shop, clanging on the floor and hollow banging inside an engine that was in there. He tells me to go see what's going on, and I tell him, no way. Yeah, go check that out. No. My discharge isn't about a month, and he could go look himself. He shrugs it off and goes back to watching TV. I check in with the mechanic guys the next day, and they said their tools had not been moved, and no one had come in overnight. Well, there you go. Auditory phenomena like that is not uncommon. I mean, many hauntings are experienced by people like sitting in their living room and hearing like all hell break loose in their kitchens, the cabinet doors smashing open and dishes flying and smashing and glasses and stuff. And they're like freaked out and they run in there and everything's fine. So there does seem to be an auditory phenomena, in terms of some hauntings or some paranormal activity, and what it is, I don't know. I'm assuming, I don't know. I don't even have an assumption for it really, because it's almost telepathic, but it's almost dimensional too. It's like, are you hearing the sounds from a different reality that's somehow bleeding through? And I don't know.
I mean,
or the sounds being projected to your mind so that you freak out and it's really nothing. It's just a hallucination of sorts. But a directed hallucination, just to inspire fear. Because, again, I think there are some things that we experience as ghostly beings, but they seem to require our surrender and our fear. Like they seem to require it, and maybe it emboldens them or allows them to get stronger activity, whatever. So they do it to try to freak people out and make them afraid. Some suggest that dark entities feed on the fear, like that's a food. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. It's largely wild speculation in my opinion, but they do seem to require us to surrender. There is something to that with hauntings. Like they need the people that are there to kind of surrender their power. And fear is a very clear surrender. Like I am powerless. This scares me. I feel like I can't do anything. I'm just going to stay here afraid. And that gives them more, license to increase their activity or increase their influence on an area. So I do think there's something to that.
Or is fear like a surrender in the case of like it lowers your defenses and then they just, sap your soul away?
Maybe. I mean, it could be certainly prior to hauntings. A lot of hauntings start out that way, though. It's sort of subtle and some auditory phenomena, the weird sounds. Oh, thank you, Maggie. Maggie gave up some donation over there on Rumble. Thank you so much.
Oh, on Rumble. Okay.
Yep. I appreciate that. I like your tests. I hope we passed. But yeah, I think it's a strange phenomena. So
that's actually a good thought process. I'm thinking about like, is fear like a radiating energy we have, or a change in our own kind of vibe energy, or is the fear the surrender of us giving that away ourselves?
Yeah, I don't know.
Curious.
I don't know, but I think the fear is a surrender. And basically you're surrendering to the will of something else, and that weakens our aura. When you're afraid of something, it weakens your aura. So, it's natural to be startled, but you have to really try not to surrender to fear, because that is a surrender, and that is where things can go really dark. Now, generally speaking, most of it is not really malicious. I think some spirits just get a rise out of it, like, hold my beer. Here comes some people, some fleshies, that kind of thing.
Some fleshies.
Here comes some fleshies. Hold my beer. Watch this. And it's, kind of maybe just a joke from a bored spirit, but there's dark things that I think require that, and they need you to surrender. For whatever nefarious purposes, whether it's oppression, whether it's just gaining dominion over a space or an infestation, or if they're actually attacking you for a walk-in or possession purposes. And I think they're few and far between, but they certainly do happen. So here's, you like clowns okay, Sheldon, or are they creepy to you?
They make me awkward, but not fearful.
Okay. Well, here's a story for you, for your awkward clown thing. A laughing clown statue was the intruder. Oof. This is by a Redditor by the name of Lam Ninja, LAM Ninja 28. During my time as a sheriff's deputy, I worked as a night guard for a local branch of a massive investment firm just for extra cash. The 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. shift on weekends. And there were only 2 guards on shift at any time. The facility was 3 buildings across 4-acre property. gated and on the tail end of the industrial park on the border of a really rough neighborhood. One night I was on guard during December, and a lot of the desks were covered in Christmas decorations and wrapping paper, and the other guard was a fellow soldier with me in the National Guard, so we both knew we were trained and had each other's backs. Well, suddenly my radio lit up, and my buddy told me the cameras in one of the cubicle areas were feeding back, maybe? And he thought the lights went out. Well, my job was to walk over there and reset the breaker and get the lights back on. I turned around and began to walk down the hallway, and it was absolutely pitch black. No service lights, no door lights, no faint glow of computers left on, nothing. The air felt cold, and my flashlight felt darker than normal. Something wasn't right. Excuse me. My heartbeat began to speed up as I remembered the breaker room was all the way back in the back near the server, and I had to walk down nearly 40 rows of cubicles to get there. I kept hearing this odd clinking sound as I began to slowly walk through the cubicle row. Suddenly, I saw a silhouette crouch down between two cubicles in the back. I pinged the radio twice to signal my buddy to get 911 on standby. I began to slowly walk toward it, issuing verbal commands. "Stand up! Face me now!" I yelled at the silhouette, wondering why it wasn't moving. As my flashlight hit it, I saw it was a clown statue holding a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. I laughed. My hands were shaking. I was sweaty. And I genuinely was happy I didn't have to use force or possibly take a life that night. I felt so relieved I walked up to it, planning to move it back into inside of a cubicle to get it out of the way. Suddenly, it lit up and laughed. Loudly and sharply. I took off running. The thing absolutely caught me off guard and scared the living hell out of me. Nothing scared me as much as that clown laughing at me. Eyes and nose glowed red, and I ran all the way back to the front desk and made my buddy get the lights on in there. I'm not even scared of clowns normally, but that one in particular would continue to creep me out the rest of my time I worked there. Yeah, that's diabolical.
I mean, I think everyone would be afraid of clowns in that scenario.
Yeah, exactly. That's just all kinds of wrong. Anything that turns on and makes a sound like that should just be put right in the freaking garbage. That's getting recycled. That's it.
Yep.
No, kids, I don't care if you love the clown. It's going. Just imagine. That's funny. Well, number 4 is next. A pack of coyotes stalked them. Now, this doesn't sound so paranormal. Being stalked by a pack of actual animals would suck, too.
Yes.
This is by Gnarbuta or Narbuta. Buta. Buttah. Okay.
What's bigger, coyotes or dogs?
Coyotes are generally smaller than a lot of dogs. They're bigger than some dogs, but coyotes would be like a medium-sized dog, like a small lab, generally in stature. But there's plenty of dogs that are way bigger,
Wouldn't you fight off a coyote then?
Would I? Well, yeah, I
Wouldn't
mean,
you?
I think you've got a shot. I think you've got a shot at anything if if you're prepared enough. I don't know. I mean, the problem with any of those things is that I don't know. Animals are generally so much stronger than we think. Like I've had a hard time holding Pikachu, my little white cat. When we first got him, he was very feral, and we were trying to trim his nails because he was going crazy everywhere. And I had no idea that little fluffy piece of hell could be that strong and hard to hold. I was like, he was just freaking out. But, he became, trusting of us. And then, now it's no problem. But it freaked him out getting his nails clipped the first time. And it was a lot. And I didn't want to hurt the little guy. But still, it was just like, I can't believe there's this much strength in these little drumsticks. But so it's crazy. The muscle mass that they have is just so much more potent than ours. I don't know how else to say it.
Tommy says coyotes are 45 to 70 pounds, all muscle.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that live on their ability to hunt. So
It's true.
they're
That's
damn
true.
good at what they do, and they got, those jaws are just lethal. So I
Only
mean,
hunting I do is at McDonald's.
hold on, kids, I'm going in to bag the Happy Meals. You just
Maybe not. You're right. Maybe they could outlast me.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's worth yeah, I would be, if you're in that situation, of course you got to do what you got to do. I mean, if it means enough to you, I think you can make it through anything, really. I mean, just human spirit is incredibly powerful, and it's, but at the same time, I think we underestimate. It's like, oh, it's just a little thing. I could beat the hell out of it. It's like, yeah, well, those little things are full of teeth and incredibly fast reflexes. So, you're going to get cut. You're going to get cut a lot probably, but it's feasible that a person could take out a coyote. It's just, usually animals just don't give up. They just don't go, oh, you got me. Okay. They just keep going until they can't.
That's true.
Well,
fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But who knows? All right. So here we go. Ganar Buddha, a pack of coyotes stalked them. I used to work security for a ski resort. I was swing shift, 4 p.m. to midnight. After every shift, I had about a 20-minute walk down a dark mountain road through the woods to reach my bus stop. Also, there were no streetlights. Oh yeah, that sounds awful squatchy. Ooh. After a week or so, I started getting stalked by a pack of coyotes. One coyote isn't very impressive, like an ugly medium-sized dog. 2 coyotes aren't super intimidating either, but 3 or more is a different story. Once it's a proper pack, they get bold. The first couple nights, it was just 1 or 2, and I could see their eyes shine about 40 or 50 yards in the woods. They'd check me out and then run off, and after a week or 2, more started showing up, 4 or 5 at a time once. I counted 8. The thing is, once there were 3 or more, they didn't run off. They'd follow me from the tree line every once in a while, crossing the street in front of or behind me. They'd also stop keeping their distance. They'd come as close as 20 feet or less. Seeing 8 pair of glowing eyes is creepy, but the noises they make, oh my God. I carried bear mace at the ready during my walks to the bus stop for the whole season. Yeah, I think that'd probably work pretty well. Tommy Cooper says squatch dogs. Yeah, yeah, they're those too, squatch dogs. I haven't heard that term in forever. Wow. Yeah, that's a blast.
Eight's a whole different story. Never mind.
Well, sure. And the thing is that they are a coordinated hunting, animal community. It's like they are very good at what they do. I mean, they are strategic. They do things like flanking and setting, trap, or, some will push and some will wait for the ambush kind of thing. I mean, animals are surprisingly comprehensive in their, their ability to, think and create strategy. And certainly one lone human with that many, sets of teeth coming at you, you're probably going to be in a world of hurt.
That's something that always shocked me about animals that I've been so fascinated by, is that their level of communication isn't very sophisticated. It's like you got whimpers, you got howls, you have these little minute things that they can do, but like humans, we have to convey things in all of these words and noises and different things. And it's very simplistic for them, but yet they can make a complicated plan like an ambush.
I think there's also something to a pack mind. Like, they have established rules. Like, this is something that's been honed in them through millennia of development. That's true. So they've got tens or hundreds of thousands of years of instinct. Plus, I believe that animals are highly empathetic. Like, they can feel the intention of the others in their pack, and and they communicate in a very nonverbal way as well. So I think that there's lots of levels of communication going on. Certainly the whimpers and the audibles and the visuals are part of it, but I think there's a whole nother level that we can't observe that they communicate on as well. So Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense. That
Yeah.
would.
Here we go. Number 5, an elderly nun screamed Omega. Oh.
Oh.
This is by Redditor Sean Air. Shaunair. I worked the third shift at a long-term care place for retired nuns and priests in Ohio. I could tell you some stories about how the clergy act when they start to slip at old age, but overall, it was a good job with good people in it. I would only have a desk lights on in between rounds, and I would often spend my nights reading. And one night, after my second set of rounds, I looked up to see one of the sisters who rarely ever got out of bed, let alone speak. She had severe dementia, standing in her nightgown directly in front of her door, pointing out the window in the common room I was in. She started screaming, "Omega! Omega!" I was 24 at the time and straight up almost pooped my pants. There really is no way to describe the sound. It was some serious next level Silent Hill, never sleep again stuff. One of the nurses came over and helped her back to bed, and when she came back out, she must have seen my face, and she politely told me Omega was her sister's name. It was a solid 2 hours later when I finally got calmed down enough to ask myself, who names their kids Omega? That's true, man. You got to be working pretty hard to screw up a kid to come up with a name like Omega. Your name is Omega. That means last. You're the last kid we're having.
That might be the reason why.
Tell your brother Alpha to come get dinner. There you go. That's funny stuff. Funny stuff. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that would be that. The dementia stuff is kind of creepy because it's, and I don't mean creepy in a bad way. It's just, it's hard to wrap your head around because it having experienced it with a loved one and watching it was my grandmother, and she faded from dementia, and just to watch how she was experiencing so many different aspects of her life at any given moment. So she was a teenager sometimes. She was a woman. She was an elderly woman. She was everything in between. And it was just almost surreal. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like she was living in different phases of her life. And some of them knew us and would recognize us, and some of them wouldn't. And it was, very fearful, and it also just pulls at your heartstrings because you love this person, and sometimes you just can't reach them. So it is a strange, strange thing. It was very, very brutal in a lot of ways.
Oh, devastating sickness.
Yeah, absolutely.
I fear the day that you or mom ever get that. Oh God, that better not ever happen.
Oh, don't worry about that. You think I could never forget all this stuff?
Yeah,
nope.
I'm sure that's what every person with dementia thinks.
He's trying to be positive here. Jesus.
I
don't know.
Man.
Sometimes I forget the dumbest words even now. It's like, is that how it starts? I don't know. I mean, it's just life happens, and we can't control everything, but I don't know. I think I hopefully will be with it all the way till the end. It's like what was it, Caddyshack, when Bill Murray says, "Yeah, and then the Dalai Lama, he said, on your deathbed you will receive total consciousness." So I got that going for me. And I don't think that was a good thing necessarily.
No.
It's like, you wouldn't fade out. You'd be like totally aware of everything going on and going, chat or shoot. Shoot. Yeah. All right. Number 6. They avoided the room in an old hospital that contained boxes with radiation symbols. Yeah, that's a good call. I think that's a really good call. And this is by Redditor Voter1126. Back in the 80s, I worked security to pay for college. I got put in a closed hospital that was about 20 floors, and they wanted you to walk each floor in the start and middle of the shift, which took about 2.5 hours. It was like the set for one of the old horror movies. Most of the lights did not work, and there were ceiling tiles hanging down all over the place. It was still full of unwanted equipment. And since it was winter and the steam heat was on, there were noises on each floor. Yeah, steam heat is really horrible. Clank, clank, clink. The pipes are always banging and stuff. One night, I was on the 15th floor, and I heard a loud crash come down one of the side corridors that freaked me out. It turned out a pipe in the hallway was leaking, and 10 ceiling tiles all let go at the same time. Probably the creepiest was walking through the 18th floor, because I had these It had these all-tiled operating rooms that had observation windows around the top, and all of the operating tables and other equipment were still there. I only went to the 20th floor one time. I don't know if they did cancer treatments there or what, but when I walked through, there were these boxes with radiation symbols, so I just decided the 19th floor was good enough. Yeah, no kidding. It's minimum wage, for God's sakes. Yeah, you don't have to give your life for a minimum wage job. No, don't do it. Well, I think we're going to stop that there, and we'll continue these tomorrow on the show. And again, Jimmy should be joining us, so should be lovely. So let's get to the cryptids. What do you say, Sheldon?
Sounds good. Just want to say there's a lot of people in chat who have actually had family members who've dealt with dementia. I just say I'm so sorry to you all, and
yeah,
have to experience that. That's I can't imagine. I really can't.
It's a tough thing, and yeah, my heart goes out to all of you as well, having lived through it and experienced it. It's agonizing, but I always just told myself, and this is maybe just a coping mechanism, but it was like, my grandmother died years ago. It's just her body doesn't know it yet, because it doesn't seem like it's really that person anymore. It's not the same. It's just so different. And that could be absolutely wrong, but it was just how I coped with it. It was like, she passed away a while ago, and it's her body that's continuing, I don't know. It's just, you try to figure out ways to make it okay, or at least to make sense. And that's what I came up with back then. I don't know if it was right or not, but I got through it. Hugs for anyone who needs one. Life can be so tough. You're right, Maggie. It can. I hope you never have to experience it, Sheldon. Barbara says.
Oh God. Yeah. I hope not. Things are looking good. Dad's not losing memory yet. So, things are looking okay.
I've always been this broken. This is nothing new.
The norm.
This is absolutely normal.
Yeah. This is just normal, Dad. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, this is how I've always been. So, as far as I know, but yeah, I seem to be still working on all 3 cylinders, or 3 pieces.
Used to be 4. No.
Yeah, well, just lost some weight. Didn't need the extra cylinder anymore. All right, so we're going to get to some cryptid stuff, ladies and gentlemen, because by God, we need some creature stuff. Creatures and cryptids, it's time for the Cryptid Corner. Someday I'll have to actually make an animation when I'm not so freaking busy. I can't believe how busy I've been this last week, Sheldon.
Really?
I was literally frantic all of the week trying to keep up. I don't know how else to say it, but I accomplished a lot of things, and I'm feeling good about that. One of which is the brand new video, which is released for members of the channel. If you want to check out the investigation of the haunted historic Davenport Theater of Spokane, Washington, it's live on the channel for members right now. Tomorrow I'm going to open it up to the public, so please check it out. If you check it out, please leave me a comment. For God's sakes, leave me a comment.
Leave some love.
Leave me some love, yeah. No, I really want these videos to do well because I love investigating. I really do. And in order to continue to investigate and get out there, of course, it's, I need the ability to do that. And we certainly could use more YouTube traffic. So I'm hoping that'll help, but it's going to, and if you do watch it, once it opens up, if you want to recommend it or share it, please, I would be honored if you would. One thing I will tell you about our investigation videos, and this is my solemn oath before God, and I mean this incredibly sincerely, you will never, ever, ever see anything on anything that we do where it's staged, it's hyped up, it's exaggerated. What you see is exactly what we experience. I'm not interested in creating theatrical versions of anything. I'm not interested in creating over hyped up fake videos because they're clickbaity. I know that might be a fast track to being recognized and getting more traffic, but I just can't do it because this subject is so important to me. So you might listen to it and watch what's going on and have other explanations. I can't certify that everything happening is paranormal, but I can certify that what's happening, I couldn't explain at the time. And I considered it very sincere evidence of activity and interaction with some other intelligence that we couldn't perceive. So I do hope you check it out. And I do take a lot of pride in these videos. This is really, really seriously the first one. But yeah, exactly, SoCal. Integrity is everything. This show, I don't know. This show is one of the big pursuits in my life outside of being a family man and a father. This show means the world to me. And I know the paranormal and all this activity and all of these questions mean the world to a lot of people. And so I will only represent this with the highest integrity possible. So if you watch it and it occurs on my video, I will assure you with my hand before God on the life of everything I love, that nothing has been embellished, nothing has been stretched, nothing has been staged or set up. It happened just as you see it. It may be edited for time. There's clips and cutouts and stuff, of course, because we're investigating for, 8 or 12 hours. Well, things didn't happen for 8 or 12 hours. They would happen in moments. And so you record the moments and then you condense it. So there is edits, but it's not for fabrication purposes. It's just for time purposes. So the video is still about an hour long. It's 57 minutes. And there's plenty of history and evidence for you guys to check out. So, Taipan 5.
You would never pull a coyote. You would never do that.
No, God, no.
What happened?
Oh, thank you, Justin. He said I just shared it on Twitter X handle. Yeah, Brent's handle.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate that, brother. Yeah. So, you're right, because the thing with that is if you ever do decide to go down that road and just say, you know what, I want more traffic. We just need more, more activity, and it's got to look better. It's got to be way more suspenseful. Another thing you'll never see on my videos is a camera pointed at my face so you can see me look scared.
Oh God.
That's not what I'm there for. I'm not there for you to watch me look at stuff. I'm there to look at things and observe what's going on. So what you will see is the camera pointed at what I'm seeing. And so I just, that's one of my pet peeves. It's like, ooh, let's watch them make a scared face now. Oh. It's like, okay, well it's suspenseful and the, that kind of stuff. We just don't do that. We just keep it real down to earth and real straightforward. So anyway.
God, I agree with that. The whole, they call it the pog face though.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, yeah, great. You made a scared face. What the hell did you see? Put it on the screen. It's super cool. I stayed at the Curie House in Placerville, California. Also haunted in that old timey way. Really cool stay. No activity though. Yeah, that's neat. I mean, granted, the next video coming out will be the Montvale Hotel, which is also in Spokane, Washington. And that one, the hotel is allegedly very haunted. However, we investigated the hell out of that place, and the only place we had activity was actually in the room that we were staying in. And literally, there was nothing else going on anywhere. And we tried and tried. So we do have still a lot of evidence to show you. Some of it I streamed. You can actually see the stream of part of that activity, because as soon as we set up the equipment on the bed, it was just like started popping off. It was crazy. So, but we'll be compiling that video next. So let's get to the creatures, the cryptids, and find out what's going on in the cryptid corner, ladies and gentlemen, here on the portal. All right. The first one is from Sasquatch Chronicles blog. Again, please support Wes's blog, because his show is awesome, but the blog is also awesome. And you're going to find lots of great stuff over there to check out. Links to other shows that Wes likes to feature on there. And sometimes it's the portal, which is really cool. So, but check it out. Sasquatch Chronicles blog. Special thanks to Wes for letting us use it. And here we go. The first article is coming from April 12th. And this is something outside of my window. It says, a listener writes, I've listened to the podcast for a few years now. And even though I've not had a face-to-face encounter, I've had some extremely strange screams and something outside of my window. God, that's got to be a horrible feeling.
Oh.
Just to know something's out there in the darkness looking at you. Ugh. And you know, it's creepy enough it's a person, but if it's not a person and it's something much bigger and possibly more horrible, that's even scarier.
That's worse. Yep.
The first time I heard the screams would have been around 1983, and I was 10 years old. It was my chore to take the trash out every day and burn it in our trash pit. Where we lived growing up, there was no trash pickup, and everyone either burned in a barrel or burned in a pit. We had a deep pit in the back of the property. We owned about 3 acres. 1 acre was cleared, and the other 2 were across a creek and was completely wooded. The wooded 2 acres connected to several miles of wooded area, and it was kind of late, probably 8 or 9 p.m., and I hadn't taken out the trash yet, so my dad got on me and told me to take the trash out. Well, as I'm walking out the back door, I stepped into my dad's work boots and walked to the trash pits at the back of the property. I threw the trash at the top of the pit instead of walking down to the trail that led to the bottom of the pit into the creek. I lit the trash and was just standing there watching the fire. Well, after a couple of minutes of watching the fire, an extremely loud scream just came out from the bottom of the trail by the creek. It sounded like a woman screaming, but so much louder and probably 20 to 30 seconds long. Oh, geez. I stood there for the entire scream, unable to move. As soon as it stopped, I kicked my dad's boots off and ran to the house. When I got in, I was panicked. I remember yelling at my dad that there's a woman screaming in the creek. He jumped up, grabbed me, and I kept telling him there's a woman screaming in the creek. He grabbed his shotgun and pulled me outside with him, even though I didn't want to go. He just kept asking me what I heard, and I just kept telling him there's a woman screaming. As we make it to the trash pit, our neighbor walked over because he had heard it too. They investigated the creek and found nothing. That night, and I'm not sure if it was my imagination or if this really happened, but I was terrified to go to bed. I walked to my window because my window faced the trash pit, and I wanted to see outside. I pulled the white window covering up, and there was a figure standing against my window. I could make out shoulders and a head. Our house sat a couple of feet off the ground, and to the top of the window was about 8 feet from the ground. Well, I dropped the window cover, jumped in my bed, and pulled the covers over my head. The next day, my dad and a couple of neighbors went into the woods and looked around, but never found anything. Well, I was told it was probably a cougar. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a cougar, of course. Or something, and that I shouldn't worry about it. And if I'm being honest, that's when my unease of the dark started. I wouldn't say fear, but I'm still very uneasy in the dark. Fast forward roughly 4 years, it was Halloween night, and me and a few friends were out having Halloween fun in the neighborhood. We ended up at one of my friend's house, and we were all just going to stay the night there. His older brothers and their friends were there. His parents were gone for a few days, so it was just us there, and one of his brothers decided we were going to watch Faces of Death. Jeez.
What?
That's a horrible movie. So we watched about half of it, and one of the older guys said, "Hey, let's go to Frenchtown Road." Well, Frenchtown Road is known in this area for satanic activities and lots of strange stories. It's about midnight, and they all decide that they're going. Me and my friends wanted to go because it gives us a chance to hang out with the older guys. We load up in 3 different vehicles, and there's about a dozen of us. It was me and my buddy's cousin and one of my buddy's older brother and one of his friends in his car. We get to Frenchtown Road, which is about 20 minutes away. And as we go down the road, it's extremely bumpy, lots of potholes, and just a nightmare to drive down. We have to cross under a railroad trestle. The trestle is marked with all kinds of satanic graffiti and warnings. It is very creepy, but adds to the, I guess, thrill of being there. There was an old graveyard past the trestle and an abandoned house past the graveyard, and the road ended. The area was completely wooded except for the graveyard and the house. After passing the trestle, we came up to the graveyard, which was on our left, and as we passed by, we noticed the gate was shut to the graveyard, and we continued down the road to the house. Once we got to the house, we all get out and just walked around for a few minutes. The older guys were just getting around, were just goofing around, and me and my younger friends stayed close to the vehicles. We all loaded up and started heading back, and as soon as we came to the graveyard, we all noticed the gate was now opened. All vehicles immediately stopped. The older guys got out, and we can hear them questioning each other about how the gate was closed. Me and my friends got out, and we were saying that absolutely the gate was closed, and we were all talking, and one of the guys says, "What's those lights?" And we all look, and we can see 3 lights. 2 lights in the very back of the graveyard, and 1 light about halfway. It was decided by the older guys that we were going to see what it was. As we walked in the graveyard, the closest light moved from side to side and back towards the other 2 lights. We got about a quarter of the way in, and that loud scream from the trash pit came from the 2 lights, and immediately everyone ran. We made it to the vehicles, and everyone is panicked. We all asking, "What was that?" And as we were all questioning each other from the other side of the road, across the cemetery, another scream lets out. Everyone jumps in the vehicles, and we all take off. I'm in the lead car, and I remember my friend's cousin crying in the front seat, and Brandon, who is driving, is fighting the car, and his oil light comes on, and he's starting to panic. We get probably a mile down the road, and Brandon says he has to pull over. There's an abandoned store or something on the left, and he pulls in and gets out. The vehicle behind us pulls in, and he gets out, and another guy from another vehicle yells that there's oil coming down the pavement. And across the street, which is wooded, yet another scream lets out. Everyone, even Brandon, jumps back in the car and takes off, and we made it back to the main highway and had to tow the car. I was in the back, the car I was in, back to the house. Yikes. Oh, Taipan, thank you. Really dig your show. Keep it up. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that a whole bunch. Thank you so much.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, from Rumble. Rumble's representing tonight, folks.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. That's a great story, though. I don't know what those lights and the screams are. Of course, many people attribute such things to Bigfoot or Dogman, but it's hard to say. Lots of unknowns in the cryptid corner.
Huh.
Interesting, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, at first I was thinking like, well, I mean, screaming of something for half an hour, that could be like a rabbit in distress. I've heard those screams before from the woods.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's happening over and over and over again. Okay, that's a little different there.
Yeah, it's a 30-second scream is a hell of a long time for a rabbit to scream solidly,
Oh, yeah, 30-second, yep.
Yep. So that's a lot of lung capacity, whatever it was. But
yeah.
In any case, yeah. I mean, nobody got hurt, which is good, but still, those are the kinds of things to mark your soul, in a sense,
And then the thing that's 8 foot high in my window, that's a cougar. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's obviously a cougar.
No, they should have said bear. They should have said bear.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's always a bear.
I'm not sure where this was, though. I don't think they ever said where this was. They just told what it was in their distinct area. But we don't know where this story came from. Maybe Wes knows, but it's not here, so we can't speak to it. But
Yeah.
I mean, hey, mountain lions can scream. They can sound very, very female. Bobcats have a weird scream that sounds really crazy. So, I mean, it is incumbent upon people to try to listen, because it's surprising the sounds animals can make that we just generally don't hear. They're very rare, but they could sound like a wailing banshee or, something like that, or a screaming woman in distress. It's worth checking out. So, and unfortunately, in our internet age, you can do that. You can go out and say, what does a screaming mountain lion sound like? And you'll find sound bites, and, check out everything: raccoons, possum, any weird noises they might make. And you'll be surprised. Foxes, what does the fox say? Well, I know. I've heard them many times. And they do this like barking, yipping thing as they run around. And it's really crazy because, and Sheldon, you were there growing up on the foot of Rattlesnake Bluff. But, sometimes in the summer at night, you hear this going up and down the whole bluff side. Like it was just running up and down, just yipping like crazy. And then, of course, the coyotes in the distance. You'd hear the howling every once in a while. So,
Oh, yeah.
and that's a haunting sound. I do love that sound. It's very haunting. It's like, wow, that's almost mystical. But, yeah. Anyway, but
Tommy Cooper says, I just had a witness telling me they heard "help me" coming from the forest. Creepy man.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's either, I will say that Bigfoot by several First Nations tribes has been called the great ventriloquist. Like they will mimic voices, and sometimes surprisingly well. Again, I'm going to reflect back to an interview I did with Linda Godfrey. She told a story. She lived in Kettle Moraine, Wisconsin. And the reason it's called Kettle Moraine is because they have these almost like kettle impressions. They look like these big impressions in the ground, and they're forests. So she lived on the edge of one, and she had a bunch of neighbors along the edge of one of these great big kettles that go straight down into this forest land. And she had seen a Bigfoot walk by her house, or actually it was her nephew or her grandchild that had seen a Bigfoot walk right by her house and tell her about it. Grandma, I just saw this, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, wow. And she was never said that publicly, but she told me that privately. I was like, wow, that's really crazy. But she had this neighbor that would always go out on her porch, the back deck of her house, and talk on the phone. And she would always answer the phone like, oh, hello, 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 like that. That was just the way she answered the phone. And Linda was talking about being on her back deck. And from down in the kettle, she heard, oh, hello, 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 like that. Like this big raspy voice mimicking what this woman did.
Oh, God.
And she was like, it was so crazy. It said exactly what she said, but it sounded like she was about 800 pounds. It's like, so they do mimic. And it makes you wonder if that's just something that they do to try to, if they're being predatory, trying to draw people in. I don't know.
Oh, that's so. Okay. So if that is what happened with Tommy Cooper's witness, then that is incredibly creepy. Imagine that was like some of the last words someone said.
Yeah, exactly.
Making it from
right.
the edge of the forest. That is incredibly creepy.
Yeah, it's horrible. Tommy says exactly. Yeah. Yeah, this is, the thing is, a lot, I don't want to cast aspersions at anyone. And believe me, I would love nothing more than for this to be true. But some people regard the Bigfoot as these wise, sage-like beings of the forest. They're just these peaceful, loving. And I believe that there probably are, but I believe that they are so much like us that they have an incredible diversity in their own species. And there are some that hate us and may prey upon us. And again, there's First Nations legends of their battles with these forest creatures, and a lot of times they were very ugly. There's also traditions in First Nation of them getting along very peacefully with them. So there's both. But yeah, there's good ones and bad ones, says Tommy. I agree, brother. Yeah, I think you're dead on. So, I mean, God, the best way to lure people in is to sound like you're a woman in distress. or the crying infant thing. The crying infant has been heard many times in the forests. And of course, anybody with a soul, if you heard a baby crying, of course you just, let's go help. There's some baby out in the woods. You know, you're not going to want to leave that be. And, you know, the dark side of it is it's not really a baby.
Yeah, that's the sucky part is I couldn't help myself.
I know.
I would have to.
Right.
Because it's one of those things like, okay, but what if that is an abandoned baby?
Well, sure.
I have to.
Yeah, what if it really is? Well, then, you know, you definitely want to be that guy, that person to go out there and help, because it's almost in our genetic wiring. Like, my God, there's a helpless thing that's all alone, and it, you know, this can't be, this is not okay. And so what does that say? But common sense should take over in the woods. But commence should take.
Were you reading?
Yeah, Brent, that would get me just on the off chance that somebody dumped a baby. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
1594.
1594 came over the ghost box. Okay.
Oh.
Before the show, it said pretty, and I assumed it was me.
That's right. That's right. He's talking to you. Yeah, for sure.
Of course. Might have been Sheldon too, but I'm going to take the win on this one. So, yeah.
RJ Windwalker says, Sheldon, Wendigo mimic the voice and screams of its last victim.
Yeah, Wendigo and Skinwalker have been known to be mimics as well, to sound like someone in distress.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I couldn't live with myself. So, like, even if it was my death, I was walking toward, I couldn't not.
Yeah. No, I can appreciate that.
I would take the risk. I would have to.
I would just encourage you to not live near the woods. No, I'm just kidding.
We did.
Yeah, I know. We lived in the woods, yeah.
Yeah.
It never hurts to have an AR-15 with you. Amen, right. Tommy. If you can go out there packing some heat. If it's not a baby, well, you got an answer.
That's right.
Sorry, guys. That's how much money I lost on crypto today. What?
What?
What are you talking about, SoCal? Sorry if you lost money, man. That's tough.
1594. I'll get it.
1594. Oh, okay. That was you. That was a personal message. Yeah. Be careful with that crypto. There's some good ones and there's some less than good ones. Just saying. Bask in the freedom. Yeah, over here, BB. Yeah. There you go, Taipan. There you go. All right. So what are we doing for time? I don't even know. I haven't been watching. Oh, we're doing great. We are doing great. It's 8:38.
This is Bell's first meeting.
This is Bell's first meeting. Oh, meeting Sheldon. Oh, okay.
Oh.
It's the first time they've seen you. So very cool.
Oh, well, good to see you and welcome in. Glad you're here.
Glad you're here. Yeah, Taz has been with us forever. So
Yeah.
very cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so those are the cryptids, man, from the Sasquatch Chronicles. But very good story. I thought that was very interesting. It wasn't necessarily visual except for the outside of the window, but sounds like something horrible's going on there. I wouldn't go down that old cemetery anymore.
Wow. Apparently I sound like you.
You do?
Taz says, she's surprised he sounds like you, Brent.
Oh, lucky bastard, aren't you?
Yeah, the voice was passed down in the genes, you know. Yes, the mannerisms.
Yeah. Remember back in the days you had a house phone? Hey, Brett, no, it's Sheldon.
Oh, my God. Yeah, wow. That brought back memories. Yeah.
He used to answer the phone and people thought it was me.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I remember that.
Like, no. All right. So let's get to it. Next one is Sasquatch Chronicles. And then we'll move on to Phantoms and Monsters. Mm-hmm. So this one is from April 11th, an almost human face. You know, that's another really intriguing characteristic of these things. And I don't know if it's just a biodiversity or if there are subsets of this family tree. Some of them look extraordinarily human. Even people that have had up close sightings, like, looked like a beautiful man, except covered in hair. And then others looked like an ape, except it had a hooded nose. And, they seem to have this real diversity in appearance, some of which real conical heads, the cone-shaped heads, and some rounded, some extraordinarily tall and built like a truck, others more lanky. There does seem to be a lot of biodiversity in what we understand as Sasquatch Bigfoot. But the question is, are they all exactly the same thing or not? And I suspect that there could be a few branches surviving out there. And certainly, by the fact of where they settled and how long they've been there, like those in the northern territories, living in the mountains and stuff probably requires more physicality than the skunk apes and such down in Florida in the warmth and the warm weather. So, but it does, is that diversity somewhat dictated by, like Bergman's rule, the further away a species moves from the equator, the bigger it gets? Or is it little subsets? So that's curious. But this one has to do with one with almost a human face. So very interesting. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the guy's name, Jeff someone out of Colorado, and I interviewed him on the podcast, but I saw his photo that he captured years ago, and I saw it years ago. And instantly I was blown away because it looks like an extraordinarily large, almost Native American, beautifully chiseled feature face standing in the midst of a pine tree. And it was just so hard to see. But once you saw it, it was like, that's a face. And I can't remember the guy's name. Why can't I remember it? Jeff something. But he's out of Colorado, and I had him on the show, and I was really excited to finally get in touch with the guy because I'd seen this trail cam picture years ago. But it was just this beautiful face, just this. God, I got to see if I can find it. But it just gives you an idea of what that might look like. God, what is his name? Anybody in chat know? Tommy, do you know who I'm talking about? Out of Colorado. Human.
You say it was a trail cam?
No, I think they actually caught it on a photo, but it might have been a trail cam. Human looking.
Was it a head in between two trees, right?
Yeah. Of Colorado.
I think you brought that up on a show.
I probably did, but I just got to see if I can find the image of it. Because once I see it, I'll see it. I mean, I'll recognize it right away. What's his name? Jeff what? Oh, his last name is gone. What?
Goldblum?
That's not the one.
It's literally the only name that popped in my head.
Not out of. We should put.
SoCal says there's Jim Mayers in Colorado.
His name is Jeff Yellick. Jeff Yellick. That's it.
Jeff. Yeah.
Jeff. It just came to me. Bigfoot image. Jeff Yellick. Let me see. I got
Jeff Yellick.
Oh, here it is. Oh, this is not the greatest quality. Is there a better one? No, that's the same one. Well, I'll put this up because you guys can kind of see it. I'll put it up on the screen here. I'll put it up. And when I saw this, and you'd miss it a million times if you weren't looking directly at it. But there's the face right there. The eye, the nose. And you can see the features look very, very human. Do you see it, Sheldon?
It's...
I'm circling the face.
I'm looking at it, but... Oh. But is that a trick of the brush?
Well, it's actually part of a bigger picture. This is just a really zoomed in portion of it.
I remember this looks very familiar. I think we had this discussion last time of whether it's the trick of the brush or if it's actually a face.
I don't know. I really believe this is the real thing. I really do. And apparently
that nose is very distinct.
Apparently this is about 8 feet high right here, as I recall.
Okay.
It was like eight or more. Yeah, big photo taken by Jeff and Teresa Yellick in northern Colorado from a distance of about 80 feet. And this is, of course, very zoomed in. I think I've seen better quality versions of this. I'm just looking to see if there is one here. No, there isn't. Let me just visit the site. Maybe there's something better here. Well, there it is.
I wish I need a zoomed out one and a zoomed in one.
Yeah, if it was zoomed, but you can see, so they are just kings of camouflage. And
Yes.
Oftentimes witnesses talk about this charcoal gray skin. And you look at how incredibly perfectly it's blended into this photo. And it was just, I think, an incredible capture. But just really, really well done.
It's hard for my brain to really decide. I mean, I do see the nose. The nose is what's drawing my brain in
Yeah.
as an actual face.
But this is, I mean, this is very clearly, when I do this, it gets gray, but this is very clearly an eyebrow ridge and an eyelid squinting eye.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what my brain sees. Yeah.
that's what I see too. And when I first saw this, I was like, oh my God. You know, I mean, it just jumped out at me. And like on an intuitive level, I was like, wow, they caught one. They got one. But then you look at it and how perfectly it blends in. You could browse past that a million times and never see it. So,
Yeah, true.
but I just was so impressed with this. And maybe it's just me and it's a gut reaction, but I think it's the real deal. If it's not a hoax, I think that is the best type of photo we will get. Dean Harrison says to zoom in on dark patches in the bush. Yeah. Dean is great too. I figure it's the real deal, Digger Dog says. Yeah, I agree. I do too. If you think about it, the most tree bark is a shade of gray, so it makes sense. Their skin is gray, right? I mean, it's a probably a developed level of camouflage, and who knows? It could be something that they apply to their skin. We just don't have any idea. But in any case, they blend in perfect. But I just love this picture. I was like, oh, that's really it. They got it. Tommy,
It's really good.
no, this isn't Kelly Shaw's. This is Jeff and Teresa Yellick. So Kelly Shaw does the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch. This is Jeff and Teresa Yellick out of Colorado, and I love this picture. And again, you know, they did appear on the podcast, maybe even the YouTube show. I'm not sure now that I think about it, but I think it was just the podcast, and we had a great talk. And they're nice, wonderful, nice people. You know, I don't know that I agree with everything they say, but I think they just caught really something special here. I really do. So, but I just wanted to share that with you guys, because if you haven't seen that before, I think it's a phenomenal capture and could very well be an actual version of the Sasquatch in Colorado. And this was taken in Colorado as well. So,
I can't find that. I can't find this picture.
look for Jeff Yellick Bigfoot photo.
I did.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
I did Jeff and
Jeff and Teresa's his wife. Yeah. Yeah. I just think it's really powerful, but maybe it's just me. But I think it's pretty solid. I think that, you know, in our day of blob squatches, this is definitely not a blob squatch. Now, could it be some form of pareidolia? I guess, but it's pretty perfect. I mean, it's so perfect. You can even see the difference between the skin on the face and the fluffy hair above in how that, plays out in the lighting.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. Like, I do see the poofiness of the hair there, and then,
Yes.
the gray skin again.
Yeah.
And you see the eye and you see the nose, but I'm so nervous,
Well, I mean, honestly, if we're wrong, we're wrong. But it looks like what I would expect one of them to look like. And I think that's why we don't see them, because they blend in like a military sniper. I mean, they just blend into where they are.
Yeah, I'm looking at okay, I see. I have a bigger and a zoomed in version. Okay.
Okay. Well, I think it's great. I think it's really, really solid.
Jeez, that is good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is it a better version than the one I'm showing that you got?
It might be. I'll send it to you.
Okay, please. Yeah, I think it's really a great capture. And I've seen sharper images of this than what I'm seeing here. It's just that I can't find one now. Look at the face, make it twice as wide. That tells the truth, both sides superimposed.
I'm going to put the link in the chat, actually, so everyone can kind of...
Yeah, please. That'd be great. But I'll put it up on screen as well. They clear out spots to chill. Yeah, I believe they do. Okay,
So you can kind of see the whole picture there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wonder if I can zoom in on this. Yeah, I can. Okay, so here's the actual face in the image right here, but here's the actual zoomed in portion. And
yeah,
I mean, wow, right? So the other thing is that there's nothing else in all of this scrub around it that looks like a face. This is the only part to me that looks like a face. Everything else just looks like normal conifer forest scrub like we have up here in Idaho.
Where are the shoulders?
Well, I'm sure they're back behind all of the...
I mean, there are areas you can see through that, and you see nothing. That's the part that's getting me right now.
Where is
you can
that?
kind of see through the shrub a bit at the bottom, but there's nothing there.
Well, we don't know how far back it is versus, I mean, really.
Depth-wise, yeah, I guess so.
So, I mean, there could be a ton of scrub in front of it. There could be a little... Sure, you can see through this little conifer here. I don't think it's directly behind this conifer. I think it's back in the distance using that opening as a vantage point. So I think it's back a ways, but not, extremely far. But even so, if it's all hairy, it's going to break up any silhouette anyway. Right?
That's actually nuts. Yeah, assuming that is the case, that is nuts to get that kind of vantage point to watch someone.
Right. And to be able to just remain absolutely unobserved. And there you go.
Yeah.
I just think that is so powerful. And here we go. So take of it what you will. I don't know. I think it's a great capture. And I don't know. It's very solid to me. I saw that and I was like, oh my God. So,
yeah, I see that nose over and over, and I gotta lean more that it's real. I have to.
Well, it's just so perfect from the nose to the cheekbone, even the crease of the skin leaving the nose and the bit of a half circle shape of the cheekbone under the eye, and then the depression. And look at how big the eye is. Many people that have seen Sasquatch talk about how big their eye is. Well, that's a hell of a big eyelid,
Jeez, that does fit the stories. Then it's true.
Yeah, I mean it does to me. But anyway.
What does superimposed mean?
Superimposed means something's like layered on top and made to look like it's part of a picture. Okay. Like in Photoshop, you can build layers and do some blending and make it look like it belongs there. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying absolutely 100% it's real. I'm just saying this is one of the most convincing photos of a alleged Bigfoot in the wild I've ever seen. I don't know if that means anything or not. I don't know if my opinion is, refined enough to be expert. I will say that having a background in photography, in order to, it could be done. This could be faked for sure. Yeah. But it would take a pretty exceptional amount of knowledge in editing photos. Because it looks there's a continuity in the pixelization or the blurring to the face, to the scrub around it.
That's true, without it making it look weird.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I gotta take a drink. But I think it's a great capture, and it's certainly worth passing on. You guys be the judge. Again, this show is never about, you should believe this. You should believe it. Hell, I don't know. Believe it if you choose to, or discard it if you think it's a bunch of bunk. I don't have a horse in the race for everybody's opinions, but I just think that this, for me, is one of the most solid examples of a photo of Bigfoot potentially in the wild that I've seen in recent history.
Aussie Tiger says, could it be pareidolia? Is that what we were talking about earlier?
Is it impossible that it's not pareidolia? No. I mean, it could be. It could be just just such a convenience alignment of objects to really replicate the features of what we'd expect to be on a face. And so our mind always wants to find familiar patterns in chaos.
Okay.
That's why we see, that's why we see like clouds that look like turtles and stuff. It's like, oh, it looks like a turtle. Well, no, It's just a blob of clouds. But, we find familiarity, or your closet door that seems to have an alien face in it in the wood grain. It's like, well, that's an example of pareidolia. Our minds will always search for a familiarity in chaotic patterns.
True. And when you think about it too, if if this was that's a lot of effort for like a little section of a face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a hell of a lot of editing for just a little bit of something peeking out of a much larger picture.
Yeah.
You generally you'd get somebody trying to duplicate Patty walking through the riverbed before you'd get someone creating a semi-blurry face peeking out of some foliage. But
Yeah, true.
I will tell you that I am absolutely almost nauseated by the amount of blob squatches that are out there, and people just generally accepting it as, ooh, that's a Sasquatch. Well, I don't know. I mean, I was actually thinking about doing a test and just taking some pictures of my bushes outside and saying, I think there's a face in there. What do you guys think? And just to see how many people go, oh, I see 5 Sasquatches watching you, But I don't want to attack people like that. But it's kind of that same thing. It's like, you've got to examine things like a skeptic first. I think that's really important in all of this. You got to look at it like a skeptic and accept that's, skepticism may be warranted in a picture like this. It's, of course it could be pareidolia. I just don't see anything else in this image that resembles that smooth skin and the absolute perfect placement of features to duplicate a face. Now, I did take a picture, or have a picture that I found online of some sunlight coming through a tree and shining on a garage door, and it looks just almost like a person's face. I mean, it's really perfect, and it's just, what are the odds? Well, extraordinary odds, but they do happen. So it could be pareidolia, it could be some hoaxing, but I did talk to he and his wife, and I found them to be very genuine people. And they told me the backstory, of which I can't remember all of now because I've done, thousands of interviews through the years. But I remember feeling like what they were talking about felt sincere. And so you got to weigh it on your own merit. But that was my take on it. I thought they really had something here. So I'm glad to share it with you guys, because I think that this is a big part of what we do on the shows. We talk about phenomena. We talk about these ideas. And sometimes we show things. So
Sometimes.
I just think it's a great capture, though. I really do. I don't know why. But the instant I saw that picture, I was just excited. Like, somebody caught it. Somebody actually caught it. Wow. I mean, it wasn't like, is that real? Is that really real? I just felt like instantly. I don't know why, just from an intuitive level, I guess. But yeah. I do think it's pretty compelling. So if you hadn't heard of that before, you heard about it now.
Now we have.
Let's see, what do we got time for? Literally are out of showtime. I never got to read the actual story that was setting this all up. So.
Oh my God. Oh wow.
We spiderwebbed. Yeah, we spiderwebbed all the way around. I hope you guys don't mind, but I promise you I will read the story from Sasquatch Chronicles tomorrow on the show, and we'll talk about an almost human face. But I want you to remember that image, because I think it's a great example of what that means. Now, I did talk to another witness. Her name is Angelique Benham, and she was kayaking up in the Colville Reservation area up on a mountain lake up there. And she had a very up close and personal experience with a Sasquatch that looked like a man with a very heavy sweater on in the dead of summer. She said he was beautiful looking. He was just gorgeous. Older looking man, hairy beard, everything. But as she got closer, and she got within like 20 feet of the thing, it was on the shore with 2 little ones, like it was supervising them playing in the water. And then when the kayaks got closer, the little ones ran off, but the big one stayed and watched her. And she said it was this beautiful man, and she was instantly thinking, wow, he's incredibly attractive. But then it was soon after that she realized that's no man. And so then her story starts, and she was on the podcast as well. Look for that one. It was my interview with Angelique Benham. She's a wonderful person. I've met her several times in person, and just a fantastic soul. And her story is really incredible, and you should check it out. So Another great show, don't you know? Eh?
Quick question.
Yeah.
Rachel says, Vic kind of says he has really good dogman imagery that will never be released.
Actually, I've had things shared with me from other show hosts that are similar. I've seen some incredible images of Sasquatch that I don't have permission. It was shared with me discreetly, but they will never see the light of day either. And the reason why, and it's kind of epidemic in our internet age, that the minute you put something out there, and it can be, granted, people have been burned so many times by hoaxes, so then it creates almost an adverse effect in people looking at evidence, but then everything becomes a hoax. But I will say that, especially in the Bigfoot cryptozoological fields, people are brutal. People are extraordinarily brutal and mean, and they attack those that are just presenting what they have. And I don't know why that is. I think there's a lot of egos involved in the crypto fields, cryptozoological, I should say. I shouldn't say crypto because, of course, cryptocurrencies.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a lot of egos. They want to be the team. It's our team is the one that's going to provide the proof. And they attack anyone else that brings out anything that looks credible because they just don't want other people to get the accolades. And it's become this really gross popularity club. And really there's factions. There's this team where they follow these people. And then there's the other team that follow these people. And it just gets so stupid, where they just attack each other. And, oh, that's a known hoaxer. We know, we got proof. And it's just so of course people are very reluctant to put what they found out there because you've got to get ready to run a gauntlet of attacks. I mean, you literally do. You've got to be prepared to have people slamming you and attacking you from all different angles just because they want to elevate themselves and diminish what you're doing. It's a really, really unfortunate event. Unfortunately, there's too many egos involved and not enough people that are just focused on pushing this forward. Let's bring more stuff out. Let's have discussions. Let's share ideas. And no matter whether you subscribe to the ideas or not, it's all about listening and giving people their moment to speak and to share what they want. And you don't have to take it in. You don't even have to, subscribe to what they're saying. But if you want people to respect what you're saying, you have to start by respecting what they say, and vice versa, so I don't know. He talks the talk and walks the walk. What's that? So, I mean, that's the sad part is there is some pretty incredible stuff out there. I'm sure there's much more than any of us know, but people that probably have absolutely compelling evidence. And the other thing is that some people are very protective of these things, these beings. They have maybe established some kind of relationship, and the more they put out, the more people are going to be pushing to try to get in there and to get a look at them and to investigate and to do God knows what, and so there's also the aspect that by exposing something, you could be bringing risk to whatever that is, whether it's a family group of Sasquatches or whatever. People are going to try to find where you
true.
are. It's incredibly cutthroat that way. So
As much as we would love to have it revealed and, finally we're not crazy, everyone.
yeah.
At the same time, this might be the best timeline for them.
Yeah, well, I've long said it on the show. I believe people have the best of intentions, but we have a tendency to destroy what we love.
Yeah.
Let's say tomorrow Bigfoot is proven and Dogman is proven.
Yep.
The next day, there will be tens of thousands of people heading out to the woods to see one for themselves. And so whatever means these things still survive in our modern age and in our modern world, I mean, they're already being pressured so much by our societies and by our, pushing our developments further and further into their, probably ancestral lands. And so they're they're already stressed enough. But if suddenly tens of thousands of new people were heading out to the woods to see one for themselves, because my God, the kids should have a picture with one, then, that's going to cause nothing but problems and may push them into extinction, just because we don't know how many are out there. We don't know how firmly or tenuously are they hanging on to existence at this point. And so I think it's probably better that they aren't fully discovered.
Yeah.
And then you'd have people wanting to put them in cages and people who wanted to shoot at them. And, what is the breeding population like? So if you go out and take out a male, that might have been the only breeding male for, several hundred miles or more. And suddenly there's no more coming, from that.
Billions of us there.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so
There could just be thousands of them, and there's billions of us.
Rachel says, take a photo with Bigfoot, 1 cabbage, please. That's right. But anyway, just my thought. Brent, guaranteed the government wants to know where you are seeing / you. Can you say 308 win FC in stainless? Look up. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I think it's probable that there are, several government bodies that already know they're out there, but maybe they really are concerned with the preservation of what's left of them. Maybe that's why there's a big cover up too. Oftentimes we hear, it's because of the lumber industry and it'll shut down logging and stuff like that. But maybe it's more altruistic than that there are, people that are aware that they're out there, but no, there aren't a lot out there. And so it's easier for them to survive being a legend than it is for them to be an established fact. So
yeah,
I don't know. Videos of it, Brent. Yeah, I believe you, Digger. I believe you, Digger Dog. I'm just saying. So I don't know. That's just my 20 cents on the subject. I'm sorry I get on a soapbox about it, but I've just at least 20,000 of them out there, I believe. Yeah, I mean, and that sounds like a lot, but when you disperse that over the face of several nations, I mean, Canada and then North America alone, that's not very many,
No, it's not. Oh.
Considering we have single area cities of, several miles that have, millions of people in them. So 20,000 spread out over the course of our natural world is not good, probably. So.
No.
Anyway, they are real, and it's a mystery, in my opinion. Yeah, I think so. Shut down parks. The parks are outside, most of them, I think. Yeah. Yeah, probably. I mean, there's those that believe that parks were established because they wanted to provide preserve areas for them, but, I don't pretend to know. At any rate, I will tell you that we've gone a little over, actually, but only a few minutes, but...
We were a few minutes late anyway.
Yeah, that's true. We just kind of rounded it out and made it a full 2-hour experience. I hope, the greatest mystery. I love it. I love it too, Tommy. And ladies and gentlemen, check out Cryptovania. Tommy Cooper is one half of the team of Cryptovania. He and Jason Trost, and it's a great show. They do streams over there, and you can find them on Facebook. Just follow Tommy Cooper or Cryptovania, and or Jason Trost, and you'll find them. So. Lots of great shows. They've been streaming a lot, and fantastic guys. So that's going to wrap it up for us. Sheldon, anything in closing?
Absolutely. I'm putting the Discord link right in chat again. Join now. Different kind of strategy. Join now. But also don't forget, guys, that there is a home base for the Paranormal Portal, paranormalportal.net. Go there, stay up to date on all the new podcasts, all the new episodes, and when we're going live again. The next episode coming out. And also, if you have an experience of your own, don't be afraid. You have a chance to get your own interview. And yeah, feel free to tell us your story. That's important.
Click the interview me button on the paranormalportal.net and it'll open a calendar app that will schedule you into my schedule. So, and I'll connect with you and we'll have a chat. So, all right, Mr. Tommy Cooper, you got to get on my show, dude. You got to click that interview me button and let me know when you're available. We got to have a chat. So, just saying. We got to make it work. But anyway, guys, check out that video if you're a member again, please. And if you do, leave me a comment. I would love it, and it helps a bunch. It's going to go live to everybody tomorrow, so watch for that. I'll put the notifications out on the social medias and such. But I hope you guys like it. Again, is it the best work ever? No. Like I said, I recorded it with a cell phone. But I think we did a good job. We captured some great activity, and it was just a neat experience. And so I hope you guys check it out. And that is on our YouTube page, but watch tomorrow. It'll be on Rumble, YouTube, and BitChute, and you can check it out. And to those on Twitch, thank you so much for tuning in and being part of the journey. We love you guys as well. We don't hear a lot from you yet, but we love you. So, and to all of you, we love you guys. Remember, we love you. Be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out, find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And that's going to wrap it up for tonight's journey into the paranormal portal. So until tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Jimmy will be joining me, and we'll talk to you then. So check out that video. Just saying. All right, because it's if you check it out, if it does well, it'll inspire me to get out and do a lot more investigating. So, and it also help generate revenue so I can afford to go out and investigate. All right, guys, take care. Love you. Mean it. And we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Until then, thank you, Sheldon, for being here, by the way. It was great to have you.
Oh, it was great to be here, as always.
All right, buddy. Well, that's it, folks. I'm going to roll the credits and call it a night. Until next time, take care of yourselves.